people. So
amazing.
After finishing high school, I did not get very good grades to get in a medical school. At that time,
now you're narrating my story. Now you are talking about my life. I also did PCB, did not pass biology, then I took arts. So I did PCM, then I got into architecture. So I hope you haven't read my
now. Like, why did I go through all that, to get to
exactly.
But the thing is not really knowing what architecture is, and no one has been exposing us to that. The only thing we knew at that time, if you want to go to science, you have either be an engineer or be a medical doctor. So for me, medical doctor was my channel. So when I finished high school and I didn't have the grades to go to a medical school, I was stuck at some point. I didn't even know what I wanted to do anymore.
That's me.
For a number of years, luckily I got a job to work as a receptionist in a main Tanzania electric supply company. So imagine like you're finishing high school and you get a full employment, you get all the benefits to work as a receptionist. For me, I was super happy.
Like wow, income. Let's get shoes.
Yeah. And dressing up, going to work in town, that was, the big thing. So I worked for a number of years, I think it was 2 years, and one of my uncles was teaching at the university. And then he wasn't happy with that. He said, no, you need to go to school. Okay.
Yeah, a girl, yeah.
Yeah, so it was him who introduced me to architecture because he was teaching at the university. He was teaching a different subject. It was land management evaluation, but he knew about architecture. And he said, oh, maybe you can do good in this. And one thing he told me is architects are rich. So I wanted to
of course, yeah. You're going to be very rich.
I will be rich. So I jumped into architecture, so finished my 5 years at the university. And then luckily I stayed at the university to teach because at that time they opened up the door for people who were interested in assistant lecturers and all that. So I applied and got in. That's when I landed into academia. So I teach for a number of years, got scholarship, went for my master's and back. And for my PhD, I was still at the university. But at that time, I used to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity Tanzania.
Amazing.
And the projects that we were doing with Habitat, I didn't even know it existed when I was here until I finished my undergrad. When I went for my master's in the US, that's when I heard about Habitat for Humanity. I started searching if it's there in Tanzania, only to find it's in Tanzania and it's been there for a number of years. So when I returned back home, I straight went to Habitat for Humanity here in Tanzania, spoke to the director that I'm interested to volunteer. And I think for him, he was also looking at me like, are you crazy or what? You're teaching. You probably didn't want to volunteer. Yeah, I'll say volunteering, it's not something that's very, very common here in Tanzania. Not many people will just come and say, I want to volunteer, unless they don't have a job. But, yeah, so when I went to him, he said, okay, what can you do? And I started talking about the designs and making work on the drawings, supervised construction. So that's, it gives me really an exposure of what is happening in other parts of the city. You live in Dar es Salaam, you enjoy life, you feel like everything is the same. So for these projects, when I started going to rural parts of Tanzania, that's when I started seeing different living conditions and extremely housing poverty that I felt like, as architects, we need to do something. And while I was working that, we used to receive students from overseas. They've organized themselves, they've raised funds. They would come to Tanzania and build for a certain family. So that is something I felt like, I think if we are more organized, we can also do the same.
Yeah.
But in 2018, I don't remember exactly which year, I think 2007 or 2008, Habitat has changed their mode of operation. They started giving these beneficiaries money so they can build their own houses instead of mobilizing groups to go and build. So when they started doing that, I felt like, this is not a place for me anymore. That's when we started our organization, the Tanzania Women Architects for Humanity. The main idea was to continue what Habitat for Humanity has been doing, but focusing more on mobilizing women to go and build for women, something like that. So we have been doing that, and until now we expanded our programs, not just building. We also started a mentoring program for young graduates.
Wow.
Yeah, and last year we had our first graduation this last month, and we worked with them for 2 years. So what we're trying to do is the same thing you're explaining. We have women, but nobody knows, and young generation, they don't have anybody to look up to. So we're trying to expose and show them that, okay, they're there, and link them so they can help them to get a smooth transition while they're going to work. So this 2 years program, I think it also helped us to see the work of other women, because we were organizing dialogues, and those dialogues, most of them we did online, where we invite architects from different countries. And
oh, wow.
And chair sessions. So we had participants from South Africa, from Dubai, and they're all women. So our young generation of women seeing that, I think somehow they were inspired with what is happening, and hoping we'll solve this problem that we have now. They graduate in architecture, but then as soon as they graduate, they start doing other things.
Exactly.
And people saying, the low number of women in architecture. So I think this program at some point we hope it's changed their perception that things can be done. It can be tough in the beginning, but there is a way you can get support system from other women who are already there, and keep going. So that program for us we want to continue, and we want to expand as much as we can to expose that. And as part of that mentoring program, we're also starting the journal, like a newsletter where we publish women's work here in Tanzania. And we also started what's this called? A documentary. We called it Women Are Builders. And that's putting women in the spotlight, from architecture, engineering. If we go to our projects in the rural Tanzania, we also want to document that and show even women in the rural areas are building. So for us, having the knowledge, we can still do something with our communities. Yeah, so that's where we are now. But finishing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
now this is the miracle, to know that you're doing that in Tanzania. But it's not, I mean, if you Google, you won't find a lot of it. I don't know why. Maybe we're Googling the wrong thing.
Crazy part in our side, like publishing all these things that we're doing. I don't know. We feel like we just need to going.
If you type Dr. Heilman online, you won't find a link to the mentorship or a link to that or a link to that. Yeah. So you think, oh my God, there's a treasure in Tanzania. Let's go get it. Only to get there, she's doing exactly what you're doing. So, I mean, that's a miracle, because, I mean, same thing in Rwanda. In South Africa, we have 6 organizations doing something. And all of these, we only found out when we started, because we're like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. And they say, oh no, we're doing that too. So it's actually a very big miracle, but I just want to honor the work that you're doing. I think the beauty of this is, I think we can start connecting people. Yes. Like there's a hub there. Instead of us repeating something like the mentorship, we'll just say, no, there's a big mentorship problem in Tanzania. And obviously now with the whole online thing, I'm sure you're also online and whatever. So we just refer people instead of now us or someone else trying to do a mentorship. We must say, no, there's a mentorship in Tanzania. It's been existing. And they know the ins and outs. That's where if you want mentorship in architecture in Africa, women architects in Africa, mentoring women architects in Africa, Tanzania is the hub. You know?
Yeah, I think with this technology thing,
that type of thing,
right now, we can link up with so many people from all over the world.
Exactly.
And
so we actually complement your work, you know? So whenever we find a lady saying, oh, I'm in architecture, I'm not sure, we say, no, you must be sure, because in Tanzania, there's a very strong mentorship program for women in architecture. And in Rwanda, Liz is doing something amazing about the curriculum development for theory of architecture. Yes. I think that's really amazing because what she's trying to do is, for instance, to take your work and that becomes part of the theory of architecture for our African schools, as opposed to keeping going learning about Le Corbusier and all these people. Now we say, no, hold on. We know minimalism and we know all that, and this architect did that. Yeah. So instead of flooding our architecture schools with all those photographs from Germany and wherever and America, we say, no, hold on, it's here, it's in Dar es Salaam, it's here, it's in Kampala, it's here, it's in Cape Town, it's here. So that at least the next generation can relate with what they can see and understand. Like, you can walk to this building, and like in our days when you see it in the photo and you're like, wow, that building.
I live it there.
Yeah. So I mean, so Liz is doing that really.
Excellent. I think that's what we were missing, because architecture, all you learn is people from other side of the world.
Exactly.
And when will I get there,
Yeah, and so you grow up thinking that there's something out there that you must achieve. It's right here on your street. Look at your building. It is a minimalist building. It is, because it's here, you don't have to think it's that dish still out there. No, it's right here. Look at your... So, I mean, so that's one of the biggest things Liz is doing. And I think, when you meet her, you'll see. And personally, I'm very thrilled with that as well, because I just can't wait for work to be told about our own architects. Like, our own architects use this theory, and our own architects, so it's no longer there.
That's true.
Okay, great. So, here is a lady, she's just finished high school and she's passed her physics, mathematics, art, whatever she needs. Your advice to her. She's now arriving. I don't know what they arrive with these days. Nowadays it's at the T-square and your big roll of them. Now I don't know what they arrive with.
I don't even know how it looks like.
Tablet. Maybe you arrive with a tablet and a laptop. Perhaps you had your backpack with a big roll of paper at a T-square, like ready to go. Now I don't know. I guess it's a tablet, I think, because it's all on
with a laptop or a tablet and with all these softwares that they can use to design. That's the first thing they want to learn.
I think so. So your advice to her?
No, I think to her, what I would say is to try to understand what she would like to do, and also explore more on what other women are doing out there, specifically on what she would like to do, especially if it's in architecture. Try to understand what architecture is and how you fit in, because even when you look at architecture, there's so many things that we can do. So if someone is interested in community, for me, like when I wanted to study, when I studied PCB and biology and wanted to be a doctor, the idea was to work with communities. That's what I would like to do, like go there and work with communities. But then I find out in architecture, you can also do the same.
Exactly.
You can go and work with your community, improve something else. So for the young ones, who are really just finishing, maybe not knowing what architecture is, I think there are a lot of resources that they can equip themselves with the knowledge on what architecture is. And get in there. Once you are in there, you'll find your path, what you are interested more. Because some are interested with the playing with software and design graphics and things like that.
Exactly.
But in community, there is room for that as well. So I would advise them to just open their eyes, be ready to learn from others, and find support. You like architecture, you don't know what architecture is, Google, find those architects and reach out and ask questions and learn about it. And what I realized, like, people are ready to help, to support.
Exactly.
You just have to be out there and ask for it, you will get it. So that's
amazing.
That's my advice for them,
Yeah, amazing. They must go, open their laptops, Google, read, Pinterest. I like the diversity of architecture. I think I also discovered that along my path. I realized it's not necessarily, you can design buildings and build, but there's a lot. You can do research, you can do academia, you can even do materials, you can even just do lighting. You can even, there's so much you can do. Like you said, you can do community.
Yeah.
You can do community development. You can do I mean, you can do green now with all this green.
There's so much you can do with architecture.
Yeah. So you can actually specialize in being a green architect,
Yes.
So I think that's very noble what you've said. Read about the profession and pick what you really love, because once you enter the part that you really love, you're going to make it big. But if you waste time on what you don't love, then you might and we don't want that for
a long time. Yeah. And that's the advantage we have when we have these 5 years studying architecture. I think it gives us that skill set that you can use it anywhere you want to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And your advice to now this lady, she's now finally graduated. She's like, Dr. Victoria Heilman, you're now a graduate of architecture. Ooh, thank God. Now what?
I have my degree.
You have your degree. Now what? I mean, now she's left. She's now graduated. She's entering maybe this office for the first time. What would you advise to her?
Let's see. My main advice would be, yes, you have your degree, but that doesn't stop you from learning. So going to the workplace, there's a lot that you'll be learning that you will never be taught in school. So working with the team and try to work in a more realistic setting, I think those are the things that they still need to be open to learn. And
Amen.
Yeah, there's those skills that you get now in the workplace. And it can be hard sometimes to even get exposed to the knowledge that you want, or to feel like now I'm mastered and now I can go on my own. It might take some time. But for me, the way I look at architecture is like you're running a marathon. The longer it takes, the more you will be stronger and you will be skills. So you don't want to sprint and that it doesn't go.
Drop out of the race.
You end up dropping out. So just give it time, learn more, and when you're ready, you will see yourself that you're ready, and you just open another chapter and keep going. And one thing I think, while you're learning and working with people in the office, I think it's very best to maintain
network.
To maintain that friendship and whatever you're gaining from them, because you might need them one day.
You will need them in architecture.
They will need them. We'll meet one another somewhere else. You never know. So maintaining that good relationship with people, I think that's also very, very important.
That's amazing. Someone just wrote, we do lots of these interviews. So someone once said, look at it as everyone you talk to is a potential client or referee to a client.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that person either will be your client or will refer you to a client. So as an architect, you speak with gentleness, because either you're going to be referred or that person is going to want to build something, and you will be the architect they will know.
Yeah.
So I like what you're also saying, to be patient. I think sometimes it's like a culture shock. You get into this office and they tell you to design something very small, like the entrance to the 10-story building. Yeah. And you think you're being undermined or whatever, but that's part of the journey. Unless you can design the entrance, you cannot design the 10-story.
Right. And I think even the education system, the architecture itself, the way we teach our students, we place them like in a level that, you're going to be the team leader, you're going to do this. So if they're carried away with that idea and the ego, it goes to work. Sometimes, yes, they get crushed very easy. But learning how to humble yourself, learn and treat everybody with respect and maintain a good relationship, I think that helps a lot. When they it is a culture shock to come from a setting where they've told you're the project leader, the architect knows it all, the architect's the project manager and whatever. Then you get to the office and your first assignment is photocopying and delivering drawings. It's the job, and yet it is your orientation to corporate, So you think sending you around with drawings across Dar es Salaam is abuse? No. Yeah.
Welcome to corporate, And then now, Dr. Hellman, there's the other professional architect. Now she's been 10 years in practice. Now she wants to venture into her own practice or partner with others. What would be your advice? Or like you, start an organization, or, what would be your advice? Tips for the trade. We don't want that person to do the wrong thing when you've been there and done that. So yeah, what would be your advice to that career person?
Yeah, like I said, when you're ready, you will feel like, now I'm ready. I can do it on my own. You've established and build all the networks that you need and the skills that you have. So for someone who is ready to start their own either firm or organization or anything they want to go to the next step, I think I would encourage them to do it, because if they're going for the right reasons, I would say just go for it and continue learning. And if you find, for me, like when I started having my own firm, I did not do it on my own. I felt like I needed people to work with me. So we created a partnership with other architects and we kept on going. And so someone may feel the same way, and someone will feel, okay, no, I can start and employ others and things like that. So when you're ready and you know your strength and where you want to go, I think it will be easier to either create a team or start something that you're confident you're going to take it forward. But then, yes, I think I would encourage to do it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely encourage to do it, because sometimes when you look at the companies and the firms where women are working, they do a lot, and the contribution is big. But sometimes, yes, you're there, you're doing a lot, but recognition may not also be there, not necessarily recognized for what you're doing. So you get to a point you just want to do something on your own and get that recognition. I think you try to do it. It might be difficult, you'll fall down, but then pick yourself up and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of what you're doing, the mentorship, is to show that, you know what, falling down doesn't mean stay there. You better get up. The clock has not stopped ticking.
Yeah.
Get up. It's time to continue. And then, Dr. Hellman, to the lady who's starting a family and is an architect, what would you tell her?
Oh, yeah, that part. No, what I would say is to find
she's got kids, maybe young children, but she's also got to go to work or has her own practice. What would you advise?
Now, I would advise, before getting into that, make sure you get the right partner, you get the right husband who can support you.
All right. Check that out, ladies. Right husband.
Once you have that support system, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, most of us drop in from continuing once they start having a family. It's because, yes, they lack that support system. You have a husband who will tell you, stay home. I'm going to work. So you drop everything and stay. But if you have a husband who would encourage you, okay, I will stay with the baby and go, I think you can keep going. So for me, I'll say I think my husband was super supportive. Would stay with the kids when I go to school.
That's so nice.
Continue working. Yeah, he was super supportive. So for the young ones who are ready to start the family, I think the only foundation is have your a supportive partner, or if you have parents, or if you want to have your babies on your own, just make sure you have a good support system that can
that's awesome.
Help you to go through that, because it's for the time being. Once you pass that time, your kids are older, you keep going.
You're free again. Yeah, that's really amazing. So part of courtship is, hold on, I'm an architect. Are you ready?
I'm an architect. This is what we do. We say ladies to be
yes. Yes or no? If not, sorry, I'm an architect. I'm a woman in architecture. That would be interesting. And then to the lady, maybe in your other age group, what would be your advice?
I think, ladies, you've been in the career for a number of years. You know so many things. You've seen the ups and downs, all the challenges. And I think if we reflect back and see, okay, this is what I missed when I was growing up. It's at this age now, it's if we can provide a platform for others to be able to enjoy what we had missed, I think that's the only thing you can do now. You're retiring, but if we can pull somebody else and make their life easy, I think that's what we should be doing. Support others.
Correct. So we're doing the right thing. We're pulling. We're saying
no longer being rich. I was told that when you become architect, you'll be rich. I've never seen that. I'm still waiting, and I don't see it coming.
It's coming. The best things are in front of you. Keep. It's coming. It's coming.
So I've been waiting until I'm about to retire. Now I feel like, nah.
There's no retirement. We keep going.
I'll show others the way. Maybe they'll get there before me.
You think you're blocking some people? No, it's coming. It's coming. I mean, now you're very famous. So after fame comes wealth. So now we're all asking about you. Imagine all of us get online. We're like, where is she? So now the dollars are also gonna start finding you as well. If we humans are looking for you, it means man is looking for you as well.
That's something I don't understand, you know. I feel like, okay, what have I done? I don't really see an architecture masterpiece out there for people looking for me. What am I doing?
You have done so much. I could list some for you. Firstly, you've completed the education cycle. You started in your first year and you finished your doctorate. So there you've done something good for us. For women in architecture, you've shown that you can start as a first year student and you can go all the way to finishing your doctorate. Secondly, what you have done is that you've done something for the community. You've started the Habitat for Humanity for Tanzania. That is different because what is normal is to work, get the money, buy your Mark or Jeep or your BMW latest convertible flyover airplane.
That's what we're defining riches.
Exactly. Go live in the richest part, put at all the poor people standing by the roadside, and then put on your door architecture office. That's what's normal. So what you have done is to actually do the other way, is to say, yes, I am here for a purpose, and my purpose is to lift my community. Therefore, I am doing this for my community. I will lift Tanzania through the organization, the Habitat for Humanity. I will mentor other people, and I will make sure that we as women move together as a collective. All those were things, Dr. Heilman, you didn't have to do. Believe me, you didn't have to do any of that. You could have just been there with your Victoria Heilman Architects, famous, most prestigious buildings in the world, and we could have known you from there. But the fact that you brought in the human aspect of life, that's where you become very famous.
Oh,
because especially now with COVID, when everybody has lost hope, it's like, hey, come up. Victoria has done it. There's an architecture counselor in Tanzania. Come, guys. So that's why we really honor you, and we don't want to take you for granted at all. And I want to assure you, many of us are looking for you. I was lucky that I got you first. I think I looked very hard. I was lucky that I was so excited when I got your email. I actually couldn't believe that I got your email, because sometimes you email and you don't think anyone will reply because, I mean, they're busy. So when I got your email, I was like, my God, you really reign. So that's what has distinguished you from all other architects in the world. The other aspect that stood out for me is that you went and came back. You went to America and came back. You went to Germany and came back. You didn't have to come back. You didn't owe anyone doing your PhD in America and coming back. Exactly. I've done my PhD in architecture. How many women in the world have done that?
Yeah.